So, the living planet. What do I think about it? So for those of you who have just clicked on this video at random, I'm going to put a link up showing you how to play this game, because in this video I'm just going to talk about my first impressions. If you don't want to click on that, let me tell you a little bit about the living planet. In the living planet, players are playing as like major corporations that have found this planet on the edge of space, which has these wonderful resources. Resources like petrol, which is no longer available, and it also has this special fungi growing, a mushroom called mycelium. And the great thing about this fungi is that it's edible and it heals people without any side effect. So it makes it very, very valuable. So in this game, you're going to be sending your science teams out to explore the planet, look for these resources, recuperate and, gather these resources, as many as you can, and try to make a profit. But at the same time, as you're digging holes in the earth, this planet is starting to collapse. And there are earthquakes, and there are tornadoes, and there are geysers and volcanic eruptions all over the planet, which are destroying everything that you've built. And you're not alone on this planet. There are other major corporations there who are doing exactly the same as you. So it's a kind of race to get to those locations, to build those buildings, to recuperate those resources, and to take planet domination. This game is part resource gathering, it's also part tower defense, but also it's part stock economic juggling of numbers and money. Now right off the bat, there are quite a lot of cogs moving in this game. So this game is a medium to medium heavyweight type of game. You're going to have these planet cards in your hand, and playing them in a certain order is going to, access certain things for you or cause chaos for other players. Then there's the stock market, where the prices of all the resources on this planet are going to change and fluctuate, and you're going to want to buy small and sell big. You're going to be looking for hot spots of where to mine and what resource that you want. And on top of that, you're going to be looking out for what kind of cataclysms are going to happen in those certain locations. And it's not just that, it's the other players, because they're going to be activating as well. They'll be activating some of these cataclysms. They're going to be producing resources like in a Catan style, and that's a lot to take in. Now, I just mentioned Catan. This game has a smidgen of Catan because it's hex tiles and you're gathering resources with numbers of a dice. The dice that you're not rolling, these are predetermined dice played from a card in your hand. And again, all the other players will be doing the same. So there's an edge of memory what cards have players played, because you're going to be playing a card down, face visible to everybody, and everyone's got the same cards, and each card has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on it. And so remembering what numbers have come out already is a kind of good indication of, what mine should I build? Because all the different mines and factories have different numbers on them, and they will activate on those numbers of the dice. So if you build 2 mines with a number 1 on it, if everyone's practically played with their number 1s, you're like halfway through the game, those mines aren't going to build much for you. They're not going to give you much. Also, if you've got 2 mines which activate on a number 1, only one of them is going to produce for you. So there's a kind of a restriction on what you can recuperate every turn. On top of that, there's not really a lot of resources in the game. And the resources will get thinner and thinner as the game goes on, because you'll be marking off these resources on this time track. Also, the resources that the other players get are going to limit you on what you can get and what you can't get, and everything's hidden behind a screen. So again, memory is a key element, trying to remember what people have played on cards, but also what resources they've been recuperating a lot of, because they might have been recuperating a lot of the vibranium metal, and they've got this defense tower which will protect them, and to activate it, it needs to burn the vibranium metal. But how much vibranium have they got? Have they got enough to keep protecting their tile from being destroyed? So the game is very thinky as you're trying to plan out which are the best resources to get, which are the best mines to build, where the best locations to build those mines are, and is it worth allying with someone? Yes. There's nothing in the rules about a verbal contract of, you know, look, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. But sometimes that comes out in the game. Because you can build these defense bases which will protect you from either an earthquake or a tornado or a geyser, each player can activate it to, you know, to save their own skin. But if there are other players on that tile, you'll be saving their skins as well. So it's like, yeah, thanks, mate. Oh yeah, I'll spend a metal for that. I'll spend a vibranium for that. And the other players might feel obliged to do the same. Well, you know, I'm going to protect your base from a cyclone because you protected my base from an earthquake. I'm going to do the same for you. So sometimes teams can be built up, and then sometimes teams can be betrayed. You know, you could play deliberately that number 4 red dice that would deliberately attack their other base, which is not protected. It is a very dog-eat-dog world where a cataclysm will happen, it will destroy the automation, which means that the building is free, which means that someone else can go in and claim that building with one of their scientists or one of their teams, and then build their own automation there and make it their own, which will score them points at the end of the game. So teaming up can be fun and can be interesting, and as I said, there can be these betrayals. But there is sometimes that problem where maybe at the end of the game, the player that's leading, or looks like they're leading, could be attacked by the other players. And especially if you're a gullible player like me and someone says, oh, they're going to win, and I've got this one card left in my hand and I know that I can play it, it's going to cause a cataclysm which is going to destroy a lot of their buildings, which means that they lose lots of points. It's very tempting to do. Thing is, whether it works or not is another kettle of fish. And again, you might decide that you might want to not attack them, you know, kind of indirectly by causing a cataclysm, but maybe just to give yourself a few more points and spend your actions doing something else. So I enjoy this game. It's really good. It's got that Catan feel where you're going to particular places and you're blocking off other players and you're gathering resources at the number of a dice, but the dice is not rolled. It's got a kind of, as I said, a tower defense mechanism where you're going to want to build your buildings in certain locations which are less prone to cataclysms, and maybe just like one type of cataclysm which you can defend because you've just built a base that will defend against it. And you can build a large team of scientists that could just run around and just go and repair all these damaged bases when the automation gets destroyed. And then there's the survive escape from Atlantis feel where you can be nasty and stab the other players by causing cataclysms, which is going to destroy buildings that they own, which leave them free for you to go and snatch. Also, you know, if you know that someone's got a lot of steel just in that market to make their prices of steel drop to a very, very low, or making a market crash even, not that I've seen it happen yet, is quite tempting. Games I've played have been quite long because new players, teaching rules, and again there's a lot of looking on the board and looking at the stock market and looking at the order of, you know, what activation is going to happen and looking at resources that you have and your cards. So it does take a bit of time to think your way through it, and again games do take a bit long, especially the first ones, but I think after a while, once players know where everything is and know how everything functions, the game will run out smoothly in about, a full player game will probably be about an hour and a half. And because this is a prototype, we've had lots of problems with the art and trying to find things, you know, seeing where the cataclysms are because the icons are not that big. Again, trying to find out which one of your buildings has had a resource, you know, come alive. It takes a bit of time to look around the board and try and find it, but that's all going to be fixed. They've told me that the art is going to be changed, the tiles are going to be bigger, the information is going to be a lot more clearer, so that's something not to worry about at this stage. Now again, this prototype is just like the base version of the game, and as the Kickstarter goes on, there's these stretch goals that are unlocked which give you more buildings, which give you different tiles, which do different things. I mean, it felt pretty good as it was, but you know, just adding these little things I think are gonna make this game a bit more interesting and a bit more diverse, especially if you're for replay value. A few extra buildings, a few different things that do different things, I think are gonna enhance this game greatly. And again, even the add-ons will add a deeper level of strategy because there's like pipelines where you've got to connect your buildings up. There's also a water area which adds like a third element to the tiles, which will make matching the tiles up a little bit more intricate. And again, I don't know what's coming down the pipeline with this game in regards to expansions and Kickstarter stretch goals that are going to be unlocked. So for me, the game is pretty solid. It works really well. There's no real flaws. As I said, apart from the icons and the artwork. But apart from that, it's a solid game. It works, it functions, it kind of fills a gap which I haven't kind of played. The resource gathering, there's been quite a few games that, you know, involve resource gathering. Outlive, for example, Zaya, Legends of a Drift System, again, hex-based, tiled. Ilios, which is a new game that I just got, again, is the same kind of thing, resource gathering, tiles, hexagon tiles. It's nothing new, but this does something different. As I said, there's more to look at, there's more to think about. There's like an extra level. This is like the hardest one that I've played out of all the resource gathering games. And when I say hard, I mean concentration level. It's just like, I'm gonna win this, how can I win this? And it's like, There's plenty of actions that you can do on your turn. There's plenty of things that you can do. You're never stuck for possibilities. Even if like the first couple of rounds you are obliterated, you know, you move a scientist into a zone, all of a sudden there's a cataclysm there and you lose that scientist and it's like, well, I've got nothing. Well, you've never got nothing. There's always something that you can do. In fact, my first game I was clawing my way back from the bottom due to the fact that that happened. I never felt it was impossible. I always felt that, you know, the game, you slowly climb up those stairs. And because you haven't got as many buildings as the other players, their buildings are being attacked, and so they're either defending them and spending resources, or they're letting them be destroyed because they can't protect them, or they can't get scientists there because they're so busy expanding their universe. Games are pretty tight as well. Scoring is, you know, you can do it in your head. Scores come from around about 15 points to about 30 points. And, you know, at the end, it's just like, wow, that was an interesting ride. Would I say the game is cruel? I would say it's slightly cruel. It's not as cruel as Survive Escape from Atlantis, but it has that kind of feel where you can screw someone over by, you know, making an earthquake happen. They lose a building or maybe two buildings in that sector, and then you can go over there and take over those buildings with your scientists. But it's not constantly backstabbing all the way through. There are great moments of just like expanding your empire and building up lots of resources and then selling them great on the stock market and then using them to do this and that and the other. The restriction, the limitation of resources is also another kind of pressure put on the players, because there are times when like a certain resource would run out from the pool and your mine is going to, you know, make something and there's nothing there for you to take. So a lot of the game is pre-planning and you know, kind of doing an even spread of things, not particularly going in one particular direction, like going to the stock market all the time and just making money that way, because money does make points, but not great points. Again, thinking about, you know, I've got these mines and I'm going to get, do I want to get petrol 3 times in a row? Do I want to get 1 petrol, 1 marcelium and 1 vibranium? And it's like, well, you know, if I get lots of it and then I can sell it because the price is high, but at the same time I need that to activate that power on the commerce building. I need that to protect those ones over there. And it's like, you know, it can be a real headache, but it's a nice brain burner. And as I said, if you got a bit of memory and you remember what's going on in the past, and you can kind of like calculate the odds of like something happening on a certain tile or a certain resource being made, then that will help you. Some of the other good things are, when you're the leader, you get to use the power which is marked on your card, and some of these powers will let you place another scientist on the board. They will let you pick up a card that you've already played and put it back into your hand so you can replay it. They will also make you throw a resource out of the game entirely from the pool, and you can even change the value of a dice, and that's also good with the old fate token. Again, the game seems to scale well, even with, you know, less than 4 players. With 4 players, you know, everybody's intense and making the destiny and causing the cataclysms. But with less than 4, you'll have the deck just dictate what dice is going to happen. So which resource you're going to recuperate and which cataclysm is going to happen. It is going to be out of your hands, but it still feels good. So for me, this is a good game. It's a bit long, and it's a bit heavier than I like, but actually, you know, it was enjoyable. So if this sounds like your thing, as I said, I've done a how to play video which shows you how these mechanics mesh together and how everything works. You can go and check that out on the link down the bottom and maybe at the end of the video. Again, if this game sounds like your cup of tea, maybe you should go and click on the link which has just appeared, which will take you to the Kickstarter. There's only a certain amount of days left. There's only about 5 days left, so you better hurry up. So there you go. Hopefully this video has informed you enough to make a decision whether this is a game for your shelf or not, because you don't need to own every single board game out there. You just need to own a few good ones, and hopefully I've pointed you in the direction whether this is one for you. So if you like this video, give it a like. If you know someone that might like this game, share this video with them. And if you want to help support me in what I do, you can always go to my Patreon, Board Games Everybody Should, and throw a few pennies my way. Maybe get yourself a promo and get yourself entered into my monthly free prize draw. No, it's not free because you're contributing. Duh. And so all that remains for me to say is ciao for now, and remember to please play nicely with each other, even though you're probably causing an earthquake and destroying someone's 3 oil refineries. Just sitting at the table next to